I think we'll soon be joined by our featured guest of the day who is going to familiarize us with some of the realities of real estate in Jamaica, Mr. V.G. Clarke. We have Mr. Clarke with us. Yes, good morning, Mr. Clarke.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to Straight Up, sir.
Good, thank you very much.
I'm so grateful for your giving us some time and to familiarize us not only with some of the needs that we have to know about the real estate situation, but also other issues of tenure and ownership and proprietorship in Jamaica. You are aware that people, whether they are tenants or whether they are owners, are not as familiar as they should be about the regulations and laws about taking care of land or holding land or taking care of premises, the obligation between landlords and tenants and those things.
Yeah, there is a great need for people to become aware of a lot of these things, and unfortunately, people, particularly in the lower and middle socio-economic group, are not exposed to obtaining information so that they can conduct their businesses properly. And so a lot of times misunderstandings come about simply because people just don't understand.
Yes.
For instance, if a man is buying, when I say man, not necessarily in the context of a male person,
yeah.
But if one is purchasing, he need to firstly seek the assistance of a registered real estate broker who knows the ropes and knows exactly how to interview the purchaser,
yes.
How to interview the vendor, and how to source mortgages in order to finance it. For instance, in the case of the purchaser, his expenses would be items like half of the cost of the stamp duty, the cost of the agreement for sale. He has to pay a half of that, and these costs, some of them attract GCT. The fees attract GCT,
yes.
And then you have the registration fee. Then you have attorney's fees and GCT, which is attached to the attorney's fees. And if he needs to borrow money and mortgage, then he must add another, say, 3% to the total amount of money that he would have to spend.
Yes.
And it is estimated that that would be about 9%. In the case of the vendor, you have the transfer tax. The vendor has to pay the complete transfer tax, the full amount. That's his responsibility. And you have half of the stamp duty and registration fee, half of that. He has to pay the real estate commission and GCT on the real estate commission, and the attorney's fees and the GCT on the attorney's fees. And the approximate total cost for the vendor is in the region of 17 to 18%.
That is the person selling the property.
Yes, the seller.
So the cost is 18% of what? The value of the sale?
Yes.
In addition to the price of the sale?
No, that would be...
yes. These costs would come to 18% of the value. The person is selling the place. They're going to collect the full amount of money.
Well, not the value, but the sale price.
Sale price, yes. Because the sale price can be less or more than the valuation.
Precisely.
Yes.
So, lots of people are not aware of this.
Yeah.
And they go into transactions from time to time and find that when they get deeply involved, then they can't come up with all of these money. So there need to be counseling to advise people of the things that they have got to do before they get themselves entwined into a transaction and might not be able to come out without it costing them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people are hoping to acquire property for the first time. Young people, sometimes middle-aged people, sometimes old people. Sometimes people get old before they first acquire property. A lot of people acquire property by inheritance.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of this inheritance is under conditions of joint tenancy where two people inherit the same property together. Is this not so?
Yes, they could inherit the property by way of a will made by the before the person died, and they would have appointed executors. In the will, the executor would have been appointed, but the will has to be very clear as to how the property is going to be divided. If it is left for two persons or left for three persons, it has to be clear as to what portion each one should get.
Oh, so that can be specified.
Yes, it should be specified in the will.
Yes.
It could also be specified that the property must be occupied by all three of them, and it is not to be sold.
Oh, so if it is not sold, what happens to it when each one of these people expire, when each one of them dies?
Well, in this case, the will would also stipulate that on the death of the last one, then he could will his portion, or the entire portion of the property, to whoever he wishes.
Oh.
It depends on the individual.
Yes.
You know, you could say you will it to the church, you will
Yes.
it to the poor relief department or whoever it is.
Yes.
But like in the case of marriage, for instance, man dies and he leaves. It was not joint tenancy between the wife and the husband,
Yes.
but he dies and he leaves it for his wife, and she is to reside there and own it up until her death.
Yes.
But upon her death,
Yes.
it should be transferred or
Yeah.
given to by his executor, given to so and so and
Yeah,
so. And so.
so before her death, she has the privilege of assigning the inheritance of it, doesn't she?
Well, yes, she has to prepare a will.
Yes, and assign
Yes.
the property to someone, some beneficiary.
Uh-huh.
All right, let us go for a break and we'll come back. Mr. V.G. Clarke, who is acquainting us with some of the realities of real estate tenancy and ownership. Some of these terms in the lay person's mind, somebody who is not a lawyer, somebody who is not a real estate expert like yourself, in the lay person's mind, joint tenancy sometimes might be approximated or might seem the same as strata tenancy. In other words, like apartment buildings or complexes where several different people own parts of the building, parts of the property. And there is a strata regime. In other words, explain what is a strata regime properly when various people own buildings or property on the same premises, the same address.
Yeah. Well, let me deal firstly with the first one you talked about, joint tenancy.
Yes, sir.
You before we get to the strata aspect of it, you can own property jointly with other persons, and that would be in the case joint tenancy, meaning that it is jointly, and as the term implies, the fact is that if one dies,
Yes.
then the survivor.
Oh, they own it together.
Yes.
But if one dies, the entire ownership goes to the one who survives.
Yes. No.
That is one piece of property.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, in the case of, and that goes for strata and also for non-strata properties.
Yes.
in the case of joint tenancy, you cannot will or sell or dispose of your portion without the consent or the agreement of the other party.
Oh, so in a joint tenancy, the other party can agree for you to sell it. If the other party agrees, you can sell it to somebody else.
Yes, you both have got to sign the transfer.
Yes.
So one person cannot go ahead and deal with the bank or dispose of it by way of sale or whatever, or pledge it.
So it's not like you can't sell shares.
No. It's jointly.
Only with the consent of the other one.
Party.
Yes.
Now, the other thing is tenants in common.
Yes.
Tenants in common means that the 2 or 3 or whatever amount can own the property, but in portions. In other words, 4 people could own the property, each having 1/4 interest.
Yes.
So if each person got 1/4 in the property, each person would be entitled, is entitled to sell, dispose of it by way of a will or pledge its portion to the bank and get a loan or something like that.
So tenancy in common is when you are not restricted about what you want to do with your part ownership.
Precisely.
And joint tenancy is when you are restricted to either agreement or restricted to relinquish on death to the person who survived it.
Yes. Now, we go to the other aspect of it that you brought up. Strata.
Yes, sir.
The Strata Titles Act entitles you to have ownership and have a title for a unit within a large complex.
Yes, like an apartment complex or a shopping center.
Right. Now that there, you have got ownership of the unit that you occupy, you own. But you also have interest in the common areas.
Common areas mean the driveway,
corridors,
the lawn, the corridors,
roofing.
Yes, because the roofing is one roof.
Yes. And then your swimming pool, tennis
balcony,
court.
if there's one balcony.
Yes. And that's how that is divided. I mean, on the title it is stipulated what fraction, what portion each person, each registered proprietor is entitled to. And he can sell it, he can will it, he can do whatever it is. But that also comes on whether you want to have a joint tenancy or tenancy in common. You can have it in the name of a company, but the entitlements are the same. Once you're a registered proprietor, then the entitlements remain the same.
Yes.
It's written on the title. And those items that are written on the title comes out of the approval that was granted by the...
Now the entire complex, there can be agreement between all of the people who own one of the apartments or one of the shops. There can be agreement to hand over the management of the whole place to one person, whether somebody who is living there or somebody from outside who you give the job as a manager. Or there can be that, or there must be that. Is it compulsory that you have to have an agreement about who is managing the place, or you can do it or you don't have to do it?
Well, you have got to, firstly, it's a requirement that an association be formed and it be registered with the real estate board.
Yes.
And that association is responsible for the management of the complex.
Now, are they responsible for life, or must this responsibility be renewed year by year?
Well, the real estate board requires that you have got to pay your fees annually.
Yeah. The association has to pay its fees annually, or the individuals?
The individual
have to pay its fees to the association annually?
Yes.
Now, the officers of the association, are they for life like a kingship or a lordship, or do...
No. The association is required to have annual general meetings. And they elect their officers.
Every year, a general meeting of all the tenants And every year a review of the officers, and either you return them to office or you elect other officers.
Elect new officers.
Yes.
But that is a requirement, and
so no one is manager for life.
No. The manager for life. If that is so, then they would not be a democratic organization.
Yes.
You know.
Now the officers of this association, must they be one of the owners of title of this strata?
Yes, it preferably they should be one from their lot.
Yes.
You know.
But they could hire a manager from outside though.
Yes, the association, the president, the secretary, or the treasurer, when they have their meeting, they could have an arrangement made that because of the size of the complex, it is not possible to have a part-time person who just you live there, but you have got to do your work. You have to work to live.
Yes.
So they can get the services of.
Now this manager, this secretary, or this treasurer, can they on their own choose this manager, or must it be approved by all of the owners?
It should be approved by the.
I know it should be, but can this person determine and overrule the owners and appoint a manager by themselves, which is incontestable?
No.
So they have to get the approval of the owners?
Yes.
For any manager appointed?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Because they have
one more thing quickly in this section. Now, like suppose there's more than one gate to this complex. And there's a main gate through which all owners enter and all visitors and service people enter. And there's another gate. Can another gate be controlled by one person, or must all owners have access to all gates?
All owners should have access to all entrances.
I know they should, but must they?
Yes.
They must have access, all owners, to all entrances and exits. Right. So no one person can control one gate.
No, you can't, because you see, in the event of an insurance claim being made, and that one person took over that gate and locked it.
Yes.
The fire brigade came, or the police came, to assist people who might be suffering from the fire.
Yes.
And they can't get in.
Yes.
The insurance company will put a disclaimer.
Yes.
And say, look, you prevent it.
So not even the manager, not even the strata manager, even if the person is one of the owners, has any right to control any one entrance or any entrance.
Without first obtaining the permission of the...
All right, the other thing now, the common areas, including the trees and any other such thing. Can any one person decide to destroy any facility of the common areas? Even the manager, can a manager decide that they will remove this or remove that without approval of the rest of the people?
Well, if you said destroy.
Destroy, yes.
If one is going to destroy something, there must be a reason, and there must have been good cause for one to have got to...
But even if they are going to destroy it, can they do that without the approval of the other owners?
But they're not really supposed to. They're not supposed
to. And that is illegal, is it not?
Well, when you say illegal, the other owners or the people who own units in the complex can bring it to the attention of the committee, the association.
That what?
That the tree was destroyed or...
No, but before the tree is destroyed, should not any manager or any strata manager or anyone have the approval of the other people, or can they do this on their own?
No, then they cannot do it on their own. One man...
They cannot legally do it on their own.
No, one man should...
So if they do it on their own, it is illegal.
Yes, it's illegal.
It is illegal. The other thing is this now. One property owner, if they are going to do any construction work that could damage any of the property of another one, what should they do before they start that?
They should inform all of the other registered proprietors. Their work is going to be conducted.
Yes.
And it might cause some inconvenience, but it's temporary.
Yes.
Out of courtesy.
Yes.
And also for people to be made aware of the fact that when you're doing these type of constructions,
Yeah.
some amount of danger
Yes.
could be there.
Yes.
People walking around the place, you might trip and fall,
Yeah.
and things like that, you know.
So they are obliged to inform other property owners, especially ones adjoining them,
But yes, exactly.
that they are going to do something that put them at risk. Let's just before we come off of this. An owner or a tenant, are they, just as they are responsible for the behavior of a dog that might endanger the health or the security of another person, whether somebody entering the premises or somebody living there? Is not a tenant or an owner responsible for the actions of any workmen who they bring into the compound?
Yeah, the owner, in this case, brings his workman in there. So the workman then becomes the agent,
yes.
and is answerable to his employer.
Yes.
So he is responsible for him, yes.
So, but the workman is not answerable to another tenant?
No, not really, because he did not employ him.
So if another tenant, if he's obstructing another tenant and the tenant says something to him, he doesn't have to answer?
If he can answer, but he should try and be as courteous and be of good manners, good behavior.
But the tenant cannot stop him from doing any work that he is doing?
No, he can't.
Then suppose that work is endangering the property and the health and life of the tenant or anybody associated with the tenant. You can't stop them neither?
Well, what he need to do is bring it to the attention of the association, the president, the secretary, or one of the officers.
But this might take several hours, during which time the offense might become more costly.
If it is something that is going to endanger people's lives and what have you, call the police.
Call the police.
Yes.
But the owner has responsibility for the actions of workmen that they bring onto the property.
Of course.
Now the other thing is this. In Jamaica, is it not true that the majority of Jamaicans don't have title to the land that they own?
Yes, there are lots of people here, in the parishes of Manchester,
Yes.
St. Elizabeth,
Yes.
and Clarendon,
Yes.
where small settlers, small farmers,
Yes.
lived on land which was given to them
Yes.
by relatives who
Yes.
died and what
Yes.
have you.
Yes.
People never had titles. Never did have titles for it.
Yeah.
Was the bauxite people who brought about getting titles for land when they started to do mining in Jamaica.
Yes.
Manchester in particular, and I'm so familiar with that.
Yes.
That they had to set up a titling department.
Yes.
And that there controlled a section where they go and they purchase land, but they have the occupant have no title. They have the common law title.
Yes.
They have tax receipts and little documents left by the deceased or somebody who gave it to them. And so the bauxite people came and they got old titles. In fact, there's an old friend of mine. He passed on some time ago. I think you would know him because he was very popular in that type. Neville Pusey.
Yes, my cousin.
Yes, and Neville was very influential with the Kaiser bauxite people.
Yes.
And to get out titles, which is
Yeah.
quite a tedious process.
Yes. 1 minute, sir. I think there's somebody who might want to talk to you on the phone. But before that, the bauxite companies, it was a mutually beneficial thing because the bauxite companies wanted to get this land to buy from these people. So it would have a self-interest in getting the titles for these people so that they could be able to buy and acquire the titleship of these pieces of land.
Yes, yes.
Well, all right. I want to come back to that, but let us see if this caller wants to talk to you. Good morning and welcome to Straight Up. Hello.
Brother, good morning to you, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
I saw something in the paper this morning.
Yeah.
About the Rasta village.
Yeah.
You look, you read the
I saw one yesterday morning. Is there one this morning also?
yes, in the Financial Observer.
Yes, what does it say?
The Rasta village ready for the world.
Yes.
This is a thing that we have been talking about for a longer time, because the Rasta community in Jamaica is a very large community.
Yeah.
And it is so good to know that they have now integrated themselves with mainstream politics. You know, so the JSF can do things for them.
How does Rasta Village and JSF have to do with politics?
Well, it is JSF. JSF is a government agency, you know.
Yes. And what does that have to do with politics?
No, well, the government, the politics on the government, man. Politics not in the sense of government.
So anything that JSF does, it is done through the benevolence of politicians.
No, true government.
No, but you said Rasta getting involved in mainstream politics.
Yes, that is true.
So therefore, what JCF is doing is to the credit of politicians.
It's the credit of the government.
And is it to the credit of politicians?
No, the politicians make up the government,
so therefore, it is to the credit of politicians.
Look here, man. Let me argue about that, man.
I'm not arguing. I just want to get it. You it was who brought in the politics into it. So I'm saying that whatever good thing is done.
Yes.
You can't see that one.
Yes.
You can't see that one.
What is it?
What that what?
All right, listen.
That what? Hold on.
It has been a long time.
No, you can't see that what?
That Rasta has realized that certain things have to be done through the government agency.
Okay. Do you also concede that anything done through JSF is to the benefit of politicians? To the credit
of the country, man.
No, yes, but do you concede that it is the credit of politicians?
Yeah, to the person who set it up.
Okay, so now we understand what JSF is about.
All right, listen to me now.
Yes.
There's a pity that Rasta now make some more schools.
Well, what I have to do now, I have to put you off till after the 11 headline, because you're eating into the sensible time of Mr. VG Clarke. So long, later. Mr. Clarke? Yes, good morning, Mr. Clarke.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. As I said, most people in Jamaica, especially those three parishes, didn't have title. But the other thing quickly is I have learned with alarm that a lot of residential development is going on in St. Elizabeth in the Manchester area. And I have learned that bauxite companies with complicity from people in the tax office and the titles department and so on are blocking people from getting title because they intend to stop the development, the housing development, so that they can get some of this bauxite, they can get some of this land to convert into bauxite mining.
I have never heard of this, and I was over in Manchester all day yesterday.
Yes.
And doing.
Could you take a note of that and check it out for me?
Yes, I will.
That there are some blockages of titling going on because people want to stop housing development and take out the bauxite first.
Well, I've never heard of this. Really.
One other thing.
But the guarantee of tenure, I can tell you,
yes.
The bauxite people.
They help with that. Yes, they help with that. We appreciate it.
It's beneficial to...
Mutually.
Yes.
Okay, one last thing now. Land tenure all over the world and in Jamaica. Is there a basic principle that the government needs to keep reserve land and as an interest in all of the land not being distributed to people?
Yeah, but basically the law allows this, a lot of land, the biggest property owner, the biggest owner of land is the state,
I know.
And these are vested, these lands are vested in the Commission of Land.
Yes.
Or
and what is the principle that it is better for the government to hold most lands, even if it means that the landless must not get any land? What is the principle behind it?
The principle behind it is that land, you're here as a tenant.
Yeah.
That's why you have a guarantee.
Yes.
You're here as a tenant. So you don't really own land per se.
Yes. No private person owns land in Jamaica per se.
For life.
For life. You only have tenancy for life.
for life.
I was explaining that the other day to some of my people.
Yeah, when you die, I mean, it's not yours anymore.
Yes,
and that's why
exactly.
the titling of land
Yes.
is important, so you can
Yes.
pass it on to
Yes.
your heirs and your sons.
But essentially, what is the basic principle that it is better for government to hold most land vacant than for land to be distributed among the people? What is the basic principle?
The basic principle there is to give the people guarantee, to give mankind guarantee.
That what?
That the controlling of the land
Yeah.
and for distribution of land
Yes.
is not held or vested in one person.
Yes.
The state is vested in the state.
So for people's benefit, so the government is holding most of the land to benefit people then,
Yes.
and the benefit comes by the people not getting the land.
No.
How does the
People-
benefit come?
The benefit comes by virtue of qualifying yourself to get land. If
Oh,
you're not qualified.
So what would be the qualification of citizens of a country to get land?
Well, the government either lease it, sell it, or what have you, and any method.
Yeah. But do you see any tendency of the government of Jamaica to lease land and make land available to the people?
That has been going on for a long time.
But it's a privilege, it's not a right. It is seen as a privilege because it is so little and so slow that it is seen as a privilege.
No, but you must be qualified. If you're not qualified to get it.
Oh yes. So tell me something, Mr. Clarke. Is it not a human right for every human being? Does not every human being have a right to a living space?
Yes. Oh yes. And
So if we have a right to a living space, what qualification do we need?
well, everybody have rights, you know.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that because you have rights, you are in the position to do what you want to do. So there must be a controlling factor.
So the
government.
Yes. So the government, although we have a right to something, government controls the enjoyment of that right.
Precisely.
So therefore, we don't have a right to it. It's a privilege then.
No, you do have your right if you want. Everybody have right, but you can give away your right.
Yes, but how does a citizen enforce their right to a living space in Jamaica?
Well, you have title.
No, you don't own any land. You don't own any land.
You can pay rent.
No, but paying rent is not a right to a living space.
Yes, it is.
No, it's a privilege. It's a privilege exchange for money.
Well, if you haven't got the money to exercise that or take advantage of that privilege,
It's a privilege.
Then the government
Yes.
gives you guarantee of protection.
So the government has the land as a hostage. But I don't want to get you into philosophical question, but I think we need to have some more interaction because you have shed a lot of light on things in tenancy and title and that. Can you come back here again soon, sir?
Just give me due notice.
Yes, okay. I have to go now. This is a part of Black History Month and the